All right. Well, Israel Olatunde, SPAR European Athletics Championship finalist, was this week at the launch of the SPAR College Fund, in which third level students in Ireland have the chance to win two prizes of €5,000 each to support them this academic year. SPAR has teamed up with the fastest Irishman in history, Israel, and TikTok star Cian Mooney, and are calling on college students across Ireland to record a TikTok video in their local SPAR in under 10.17 seconds and share it to Cian Mooney's TikTok channel to be in with a chance of winning. To find out more, you can, of course, visit www.spar.ie. Delighted to say Ireland's fastest man in history, Israel Olatunde, is with me on the line. Israel, how are things?
Yeah, not too bad, Shane. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure you don't get sick of being called Ireland's fastest man in history. It's a pretty cool title to have, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's a bit strange at the same time, to think that I can actually call myself that. But yeah, it's like it's stuff of dreams, really. Like you kind of dream of moments like this when you're young and you're coming up in the sport. It's always like a goal of mine. And to actually just see it, come to fruition really means a lot to me. And I'm really grateful for all the support I've had, leading up to this point.
Were you kind of blown away by the reaction after the race in Munich, and especially when you broke the Irish record of Paul Hessian? I mean, it must have been quite extraordinary. I think you said yourself that you went viral after that and became a bit of a household name here in Ireland as well. So it must have taken some time to get used to all of that.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised, to be honest. Just seeing the reaction of everybody. I think I remember after the race, like I didn't have my phone, so I didn't really know what's going on. I remember the first one I called was my mom, and then I remember checking my social media and just seeing everything kind of go a bit crazy. But I mean, it really is like an honor to just to get that type of reaction and to make to put a smile on so many people's faces. Like that really means. I think that's really what made the moment so special. And to share that moment with my family, my coach, and just everyone that's helped me get to this point, but also with the country as well. It really is a great feeling. And Paul Hessing as well. I remember he reached out to me over Twitter and just sent me a really lovely message. So he's a class act, a great guy. So I'm really honored to kind of to carry on the mantle really of Ireland's fastest man.
You mentioned your mum there, and I know she's been a big influence on your career as well, and both of your parents, in fact. But I've heard you talking about the fact that your dad claims you got your speed from him, but I know your mum was a sprinter back in the day. So is it an argument in the house as to where you got the speed from?
I mean, it's not really an argument, but just if I'm not there and if my mom's not there, my dad's gonna take credit. So, but if I'm there, I'll set the record straight and tell him that it wasn't from him. But now my mom, she used to run when she was younger, so she was trying for her school and for her state as well. And my sister was actually the one that kind of got me into athletics. She used to do athletics with her school, with secondary school, and my mom used to take me along just to kind of watch them, and just from there, I kind of got interested in it, and I guess the rest is just history, really.
How important has the support been from Dundalk? I know everyone from the town is very supportive of you, and it's kind of put the town on the map in more ways than one, because it's obviously a big sporting area as well. The soccer team and the Louth Gaelic football team and all other sports kind of takes out a stage in Dundalk. But I'm sure that was nice to kind of go back home and kind of relax after the atmosphere in Munich and just soak in the atmosphere back in Dundalk.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a proud Dundakian, so it really means a lot to me to be able to, obviously like we're famous for our football, but to shed a light in a different way, in athletics. Obviously just Kate O'Connor as well, who's been doing amazing things, and to be able to share kind of the stage with athletes like her as well, it really means a lot to me. And just do my time, do the time proud. I was getting loads of messages on Twitter and stuff like that, but from Dundalk people just give me so much support and everything. That really meant a lot to me for sure.
You mentioned Paul Hessian there, and that's a record, 100 meters record nationally that has stood for quite some time. And like even listening to Paul talking after you broke the record, he was delighted that it was you that did it. But he was also really interesting, kind of listening to Paul talking about the 100 meters itself, and he was talking about how the mental side in the 100 meters in particular is nearly 90% in the head. Was the quote he came out with. Would you agree with that? That it's kind of a discipline that really you have to be obviously physically strong, but clearly mentally it's very important to be at the top of your game as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think in any sport, the mental side is so important. But I think especially in the 100 meters when the margin is so fine that like one misstep can cost you it can cost you a race really. So I think it's so important to be in the right mental state to be able to produce your best and to do what you need to do really. So that's something that I'm still young, but it's something I've been working on over the last year, I guess, specifically with my coach Dan and something that we've kind of seen great improvements on, but still some improvements to be made. But just even at the European Championships there, like I was really proud of the way I kind of conducted myself, you know, in each after each round. It is taxing mentally, but it's just part of the game really, and you have to kind of learn how to deal with that, deal with the stress and with the pressure, and to channel it into a positive way. It's able to kind of help you, I guess, in your performance.
Do you kind of take influence and inspiration from other sports people? I know just before we came on air, we were talking about the Muhammad Ali poster behind me here, and I know you said you had an Ali poster in your own bedroom. Like, are there sports people like that, whether they're past or present, that you kind of have taken inspiration from growing up?
Yeah, 100%. I think at the moment, like Muhammad Ali probably is a person that, you know, I kind of look up to, and I'm reading one of his biographies at the moment, just learning about him as an athlete and as a person. He's a very interesting character for sure. So I think there definitely is things to learn from him, from the way he conducted himself for sure. But in terms of sprinting, there's a sprinter called Noah Lyles that, I kind of admire how he kind of runs his race, and that's something I'm trying to, you know, emulate. You know, he's so strong over the last 15 years. And that's something I've improved on, but I think there is definitely improvements to be made. So I'm trying to kind of copy what some of the stuff he's kind of doing.
It's funny when you mentioned the Ali biography. Like, there was one I read a few years ago myself. Jonathan Eig, I think, wrote.
That's
the one, is it?
Yeah.
But it must be fascinating from your perspective to read that book, because, you know, although Ali was in a different sport, he was also an individual athlete like yourself, where I know you get to take part in the relay, which is, you know, I guess a team discipline, but by and large, you're training by yourself, you're competing by yourself. So from that perspective, I guess you can see similarities in, you know, the life of a boxer and the life of an athlete. It's quite similar in some ways.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I wouldn't really. I wouldn't really describe athletics as like an individual sport. You know, I guess you compete on your own, and I guess competing is like the easy part, because the hard part is, you know, the training and everything kind of leading up to the race. But, you know, in that process, you know, I have so much support from just my coach, from my training partners, my family. Just like I have a really good support system that, you know, have helped me every step of the way. So it's hard to, you know, to take all the credit for any given performance when so many people have, you know, had a hand in what I'm kind of achieving today.
How important is the coach athlete dynamic? I know Daniel Kilgallen has been working with you for a few years, and he's someone that's been very important to your progression over the last few years as well. And am I right in saying that you went for a cheeky McDonald's maybe after the European final in Munich? You've obviously built up a relationship where it's coach and athlete, but it's also a friendship now at this stage, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think the coach athlete like relationship in any sport is vital, especially in sport, I guess, like athletics, where, you know, is individual performance really. I think it's such like a great like responsibility, you know, to be a coach, and, you know, I have full trust in Daniel. That kind of gives me a freedom, I guess, to just not to worry about some certain things. And he kind of takes care of a lot of things for me and for our training group, and, you know, I'm just able to just show up to train and do whatever session he has prescribed for me, and listen to any feedback he gives me and try to improve on those things. But yeah, after the final in Munich, we got back to the hotel. Things were a bit hectic at the hotel, so we kind of snuck out to get a cheeky McDonald's, and we just talked for, it was like what, 1 a.m. in the morning. We got back at like 3 or something, just for a couple hours, just talking about like different things. But as you said, like obviously like we're coach and athlete, but, you know, we're also friends as well. And remember at McDonald's, just talking about like random stuff that have nothing to do with athletics. But I think it is important to kind of have a coach that you trust and that you're able to, you know, I guess call your friend really. And I'm really blessed to have that.
And I guess even thinking before your time with Daniel, you would have had people like Jerry McArdle there in Dundalk who obviously worked with you for years growing up. So I'm sure, especially when you have moments like you did in Munich, you probably are triggered to remember those people, the people that kind of helped you from the very outset of your career.
Yeah, 100% for sure. Like Jerry McArdle, I still see him as one of my best friends, and I see him as a mentor. And I learned so much from him, and to be able to like share it, I really share this moment with him really meant a lot to me, because, you know, he's the one that kind of started everything really. He kind of took me in as a 15-year-old and just kind of developed me, I guess, as an athlete and as a person really as well. When I started with Jerry, we just wanted to see how, like, we just want to see where things would go. We didn't really have any I guess ambitions of, you know, that would end up turning out like this. We just wanted to be the best, just be the best that we can be really, and to see where things have gone really means a lot to me, to be able to look back and share this moment with them.
Tell me, Israel, about the burst spikes. This story kind of popped up across your time in Munich, that you seem to be bursting a couple of pairs of spikes, which seems bizarre. It's like a golfer breaking their club in half, I'd imagine. So, and it wasn't just one pair either; it was a couple of pairs. So that was probably an indication of how fast you were running.
Yeah, I think this season I've gone through maybe like 6 pairs of spikes just from them bursting on me. But yeah, like literally, I was doing my warm up before the final. I was actually doing my last run of my warm up, and I just felt it deflate really. I heard a pop as well. I turned back, I looked at Daniel, I gave him a smile. He already knew what happened because it's happened so many times this season, and but you just have to roll with it really. You can't really think too much about it. There's nowhere to get an extra pair there because I already burst a spike earlier before the championship in Munich. I burst a spike during my last training session, so I didn't really have a spare pair. I just go with it and wear the deflated pair for the final. But I mean, it's just part of the game. Really. You can't really think too much about that in the moment. You have to just get on with it. Really.
So you managed to become Ireland's fastest man with a burst pair of spikes.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm going to tell my kids for sure. Yeah.
It must have taken a couple of 100 seconds, you'd imagine, off the potential time you could have got. But at least you have a good excuse, and you can go again to break the record, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, we'll see what I can do with 2 proper functioning pairs of spikes.
It's funny, like you strike me as someone who you have a good head for it. You obviously downplay expectations. Like I remember you talking about, in interviews before the championships in Munich, people were asking you, whether you wanted to make the semi-final or the final, or what your expectations were, and you were kind of talking about how your goal was just to compete to the best of your abilities. So are you just the type of person that doesn't really put a figure on it, a time or a getting to a final? It's just compete and feel good after it, I guess, is the attitude.
I guess like I would have maybe like before the season starts, I will have kind of time goals that I want to achieve, but that's even those they're pretty loose, and it's just to I guess keep myself engaged, I guess, during the season, like and all. But I wouldn't be too strict with it. Like I know, like even with the times I set, I can achieve like so much more as well. So I wouldn't be too strict with, I guess, with the time I want to achieve. I just want to become the best I can become. Just take each day one at a time and just see the small improvements we can make to guess to build a bigger picture.
I know you're studying in your final year at the moment, Israel, for your computer science degree there in UCD. Like it must take quite a bit of balancing between the running and your academic studies and having a social life and dealing with your family as well. How have you managed to maintain that? I know obviously I'm sure your family and Sport Ireland and the university are all key cogs in that, but how do you find, because a lot of athletes we speak to talk about burnout being a serious issue, so how do you find managing all those different facets of your life?
Yeah, there definitely is like kind of a lot to kind of try to fit in, but there is like there's a lot of hours in the day, so I guess just like kind of managing your time well and setting priorities really. Like when I'm training, when I'm studying, I'm not kind of I set the time aside to kind of do gets both, and as well time for myself to just to relax and to spend time with friends as well. So I think now, especially that I'm a final year now, but I'm also living on campus in UCD, I have way more time to kind of do the things I kind of need to do, especially. So I mean, it's a bit of a juggling act, but as you said, I have a lot of support from my coach, my family, Sport Ireland, Athletics Ireland, UCD as well, to kind of just support me in any way I can.
I know there was a lot of controversy back in 2011. I remember when the track closed down in UCD, the athletics track, and then of course it was ripped up thereafter. But there's been a lot of good news over the last couple of weeks. We've had a fairly significant donation from a former past pupil, I think, an anonymous donation that has allowed this new track to finally get there. So this must be a really exciting time for all the athletes in UCD.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like to have like a track that we can call our own really like means a lot to all of us, and yeah, it's great for the college, for the club, and for the community as well to have the track, and it's such a great facility. I was there for the opening day, and just like seeing it actually come to fruition after all of this time, it really means a lot to all of us. And it's a great facility. It's a world class track. It's really going to do wonders for, I guess, sport in Ireland like, in general, really. So we're really grateful for the donor. I think it was 3 million that was donated towards the track, and it's brilliant to have, really.
like when you mentioned there talking about the fact that it is a team thing as well. When you look at Team Ireland going to these events and really exceeding expectations and doing fantastically well, what's it like for you when you're at these events like Munich, where you're watching other athletes as well, like Rashida Adeleke and Kieran McGee and a couple of the big names at the moment. Like, must give you quite a bit of joy and satisfaction to watch your fellow Irish teammates achieving as well on the big stage.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm a fan of the sport, so I love like actually being there at the track and being able to watch, people that I know, do what they love, especially in person. It's really great to see and kind of inspires you as well. Like, you learn so much just from watching how other athletes just go about their business, not even just competing, just how they kind of act around the hotel and stuff like that. I'm learning so much from the older athletes and even the younger ones as well. And it's great because like over the last few years, I've been going to these different championships and seeing people like Rashida Adeleke as well. Like we've been going to championships together since 2018 and kind of gets grown together. And it's great to see the kind of the heights that we're achieving there. And we know we're not done. We know there's so much more we can achieve. And it's just really great to see. Like, and also the older athletes as well that you can kind of learn from and draw things from. So there's a great mix in the Irish camp, I guess, moving forward of experience and youth. So I think the future definitely is bright for Irish athletics for sure.
I know Rashida went down the line of the NCAA and joining the University of Texas and racing over there in North America. Like, obviously you'll have your final year in UCD to complete first, but are you thinking that far ahead as to what comes next? Is it pro offer? Is it go to the NCAA, or are you keeping your options open at this point?
Yeah, I mean it's not that far into the future, I guess. I'll be done UCD in May, so then after that, I'll kind of assess my options and see. Guess what would be the best route for me to take to just to better my development as an athlete and as a person, really. So I have a few options at the moment. So I'll take time over the next few weeks, few months to sit down with my family, with my coach as well, and just decide, what would be best for us moving forward.
It's the European Indoors next. Is it up for you, Israel, next March or so? Is it?
Yeah, the European Indoors will be my next focus in Istanbul in March. So I've already qualified for that. So now I can just focus on, I guess, just getting the best shape I can to produce the best performance that I can at the championship for sure.
Do you allow yourself to think ahead to the Olympics and give yourself targets, or is that just too far ahead into the future to even worry about at the moment?
I mean, it definitely is like a dream of mine to compete at the limits, and it definitely is a target. But for now, I'm focused on just this winter of training, getting through it, just improving as much as I can really this winter, and then focus on European indoors, then for the outdoor season, European under-23s, and then World Championships, hopefully. And from there, we can focus on the 2024 season.
I mentioned finally Israel at the start of it as well. You've been taking part this week in the SPAR College Fund, promoting it as well. Third level students having the chance to win these two prizes of €5,000 each to support them across the academic year. Of course, this year of all years with the rising cost of everything, it'd be a good year to win these. So they've teamed up with yourself and Cian Mooney, the TikTok star, who a lot of people will be familiar with. So they have to record this TikTok video in their local SPAR in under 10.17 seconds, a time that, of course, means a lot to you. But this is obviously would be a huge thing for anyone to win, I'd imagine.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's for a great cause, giving back to the students. There's €10,000 up for grabs, two prizes of €5,000 each. So it really is for a great cause. Being a student it's not easy at all, especially financially. So for students to have the opportunity to win this from a bit of fun, really, just making a TikTok, just showing your local sport 10 seconds or less. It's a bit of fun, a bit of crack. I think it's a great opportunity for any student out there. I definitely would encourage you guys to get involved and just see if you can get the prize for sure.
Well, listen, if people want to find out more, they can visit spar.ie, as I said. But Israel, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you. No doubt we'll catch up again at some stage before the European Indoors and before the Olympics beyond that. So listen, appreciate your time this morning and up the town.
Sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good man. Israel Olatunde, thanks a million.